Hello and welcome back to the ALEC TV podcast. My name is Andrea and I'm a sophomore in the Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communications program here at the University of Illinois. On today's episode, you'll be listening in on a conversation between me and Ann Barlow, an alumni from the University of Illinois. Ann majored in public relations and has had an expansive career in PR since then. Recently, she was able to make it back to campus and attend a meeting of the Agricultural Communicators of Tomorrow. At this meeting, she hosted workshops on how to make PR campaigns, and the goal of each group was to market agriculture as cool in their own different way. Today, we're going to continue that conversation and learn a little bit more about Ann.
I was a College of Liberal Arts grad, and at that time, the reason I was interested in the liberal arts degree, but more to the point, what I wanted was to get a degree in public relations. And so at the time, the College of Liberal Arts gave students the opportunity to design their own major. Okay. And there wasn't a major or a minor at that point, or anything, related to communications in the way that I was looking. So that's what I did. My first job was at an ad agency, and I worked on Prince tennis rackets and Perrier water. I worked on, some of Sony electronics. It was fun, but it was different at the time. A lot of times, especially for women, it was, can you go type something or photocopy something? And not to say that, we didn't need to pay our dues, but I do remember actually getting a job offer at CBS Sports. And so they sent me down to Human Resources, or I think it was Personnel at the time. And I was going, and there was a guy who'd also been hired at the same time. So we went over, we got down to HR, and they said, great, fill in these forms. And we were doing that. And then the woman said to me, oh, and can you go over there and take a typing test? And I said, first of all, I'm a terrible typist. So yeah. there's that. I just am not fast. And I said, oh, well, where's he going to take his typing test? And she said, well, well, he's not going to take one. Why? Oh, I see, because he's a man. Okay. Yeah. And I put down my forms to fill in, and I walked out.
Yeah. That's crazy. And it's just crazy to see how the emphasis has changed so much. And especially in the advertising or PR world, it's so women run now, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, it is. And if you can find either men or women who can help mentor you, it is just really invaluable. And especially now, because, it's so common to at least spend part of your time working remotely. Mm-hmm. And which I support, because I do think it, in many ways allows us to have a fuller life. But at any time in your career, especially when you start out, if you can get some time on site and just watch other people, it's really helpful. And then if you add a mentor to that, who can really guide you, that's just so valuable.
That's really interesting too. And it brought me back to what you said earlier about, agriculture, you have a different target of who you're trying to reach. And the products are so different, so much more expensive or diverse. What kind of trends or methods have you used or seen successfully used for communicating agriculture or trying to sell agriculture?
Well, within the agriculture community, I think a couple of things. One is an outsider might be surprised at how effectively people in agriculture communications use all of our channels, and social media in particular, and YouTube. And it's just such a positive connector for people in the ag community. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I love the use of humor in agriculture communication. That's really powerful. And so being able to find humor in what we do every day, it's not easy. I mean, this has been a rough year, 2 years, and I think we got another one ahead. But if we don't find the humor in things, things get really tough. So I do love that. Increasingly, we are showing stories, not telling them. Are for better or worse, the written word just isn't, people just don't have the patience for it. And it's true that, picture tells 1,000 words, so why not tap into it? And it's gotten so much easier even than a few years ago. I remember during the pandemic, it started to get more casual then, but it was still a lot of production to do a video and make sure you got your music. And if, by the way, going out and buying your music, the rights to the music and all of that. And it's so much simpler now. And so why not take advantage of what's available to show our stories as well as tell them? I would say, just Andrea, outside, it's a little bit of what we all talked about when I was visiting, which is it's getting better that in our country in terms of people's understanding of where their food comes from, but we know we have a long way to go. And so I do think that some of that starts with just being a little bit bolder and a little bit more willing to brag a bit. It's not really bragging, but I think by our very nature, anybody involved in agriculture tends to just let the work speak for itself. I don't need to be talking about it and bragging about it. But, in a world that's so busy and where you're constantly clamoring to stand out, it's important. And so part of what I am on a mission to do is just to help people understand just how cool agriculture is.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you got to learn a little bit more about public relations and a little bit more about Ann Barlow. See you next time on ALEC TV.